नमस्ते। तो आपका स्वागत है ट्रू इनसाइट्स मैटर में। दिस इज आवर सेकंड एपिसोड और ट्रू इनसाइट्स स्टैंड्स फॉर ट्रूथनेस, फॉर द क्लैरिटी। तो आज हम बात करेंगे विश्व जैन संगठन कनाडा के संस्थापक श्री विजय जैन जी से, जिन्होंने बहुत ही अद्भुत कार्य किया है यहाँ पे कम्युनिटीज को लेके, और हिंदू कम्युनिटी को लेके, जैन कम्युनिटी को लेके, कनेडियन इश्यूज पे जो हर एक कनेडियन को मैटर करते हैं। As you know, true insights matter. Why it is important? आज जब इतनी सारी न्यूज है, इतने सारे समाचार हैं, तो जब भी कोई समाचार आता है तो आजकल उसके बाद समाचार के बाद संरचना होती है। संरचना मीन्स दे फैब्रिकेट द न्यूज टू हाइड द ट्रूथ। दैट इज द रियलिटी ऑफ टुडेज वर्ल्ड। बट व्हाट वी डू इन हियर इज we get the truth out, we deep dive, we get the right information, we talk to the right people. So today, please welcome me in joining Sri Vijay Jain ji, the founder of Vishwa Jain Sangathan. Namaste Vijay ji.
नमस्ते नमस्ते अरुणेश जी, और आप धन्यवाद आप मुझे यहाँ बुलाने के लिए। आपको और आपके सभी दर्शकों को मेरा राम राम, जय जिनेंद्र।
Jai Jinendra Vijay ji. It's so nice to see you, and I know it's Saturday morning, good weather, snow outside. So you must be having fun time yesterday and even today with the family. So thank you for taking time and joining with us, because this is the time when we need to kind of get together and talk about some of the, while the holidays are going, it's good to consume some information which helps as a community. So that is the initiative. So I'm glad you are here, Vijay ji. So again, the idea behind the True Insights Matter, we spoke about it before starting the call, is that we tell the truth to our listeners. We tell the truth what is happening. There are so many incidents happened in past 1 month which impacted our community. तो उसमें सच क्या है, क्योंकि जितनी भी आजकल न्यूज हैं सब फैब्रिकेटेड आ रही हैं। इवन जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट एजेंसीज हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं पे फैब्रिकेटेड तरीके से काम कर रहे हैं। और जो मुझे ज्ञात है कि आपने इस दिशा में बहुत काम किया है, तो अभी इस हॉलीडे सीजन में हमारा प्रयास ये है कि हमारे जो लोग हैं या जो कनेडियन लोग हैं उनके पास सही इंफॉर्मेशन पहुंचे। तो हम अपने सवालों की बौछार शुरू करें विजय जी। उससे पहले मैं जानना चाहूंगा कि आप अपने बारे में कुछ बताएं। आपका मैंने बहुत सारा काम देखा है, बहुत पैशनेट हैं इस वर्क को लेके एंड वेरी थॉटफुल। तो अपने बारे में कुछ बताएं विजय जी। और आपने जो विश्व जैन संगठन की रचना की, आई थिंक पिछले साल, उसके बारे में कुछ बताएं क्या है। एंड आई नो इट्स वेरी पॉपुलर काइंड ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन राइट नाउ एंड सो मच वर्क इज हैपनिंग इन दैट डायरेक्शन। सो प्लीज टेल मी समथिंग अबाउट दैट।
थैंक यू सो मच अरुणेश जी। यस, सो मैं ये बता दूं कि मेरी डेफिनेशन जो हिंदू शब्द की आती है, मैं उसे एक सिविलाइजेशन की तरफ देखता हूँ। जैसे बेसिकली प्रेटी मच इट्स धार्मिक सिविलाइजेशन, but better we could not popularize the word dharmic much more. That's why we are using the Hindu civilization word. I take that as in that context. Further to that, और इस civilization में कई सारे जिसे हम विभिन्न मत उत्पन्न हुए, विभिन्न स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिसेस हमने एस्टैब्लिश की, जैसे कि जैन, वैष्णव, शाक्त, शैव, इस प्रकार अलग अलग इसमें ये चलती है, धार्मिक चलते हैं। अब जहाँ तक कि विश्व जैन संगठन की बात है, तो मैं ये बता दूं कि मैं हिंदू एडवोकेसी में पिछले 4 वर्ष से कार्यरत हूँ। जब मतलब यहाँ पे कुछ स्कूलों में देखा, यूनिवर्सिटीज में देखा था कि बहुत कुछ झूठ यहाँ पे परोसा जा रहा था, एक अलग प्रकार का नैरेटिव चल रहा था, तो लगा कि हमें कुछ ना कुछ करना चाहिए। और उस समय हमने हिंदू एडवोकेसी में काम शुरू किया था। दरमियान पिछले वर्ष मेरा संपर्क विश्व जैन संगठन जो भारत में है उनसे भी हुआ था, और मैंने उनका काम देखा। उनका जो मुख्य उद्देश्य था भारत में वो था कि भगवान महावीर का जो संदेश है, ट्रूथ एंड नॉन वायलेंस, सत्य और अहिंसा, ऑफ कोर्स उसमें कंपैशन भी आता है, उसको प्रोपोगेट किया जाए। और जो भी हमारे धार्मिक क्षेत्र है, जो भी हमारे जैन हेरिटेज है, उसको प्रिजर्व और प्रोटेक्ट किया जाए। जैसे कि धार्मिक तीर्थ स्थल होते हैं जो हमारे लिए काफी इम्पोर्टेंट है, तो उनको लेकर एक संस्था भारत में ऑलरेडी है। और फिर मैंने सोचा कि हम इसी का ही एक यहाँ पर विश्व जैन संगठन कनाडा के नाम से उसका आरंभ करें, और ऑफ कोर्स जैन हेरिटेज को प्रिजर्व करना, और जो ट्रुथ और नॉन वायलेंस का मैसेज है, हम जो भी करें यहाँ पे एडवोकेसी नॉन वायलेंट मीन्स से करें, लेकिन ट्रूथ को एस्टैब्लिश करने के लिए करें। तो मुझे लगा कि ये इससे और सुंदर तो नहीं हो सकता। तो ये जो हमारी हिंदू सिविलाइजेशन है, ये हमारी धार्मिक सिविलाइजेशन है, इसको इसकी रक्षा करने के लिए, क्योंकि मैं भी इसको हमारी हेरिटेज मानता हूँ, हमारी सिविलाइजेशन हमारी हेरिटेज है और हमें इसका संरक्षण करना है। तो फिर कोई भी नाम से करे, उससे नाम में इतना वो नहीं है। तो फिर और जहाँ तक कि जैन की बात आती है, ये तो मतलब हमारी सिविलाइजेशन का अनादि अनंत है, ये चल ही रहा है, राइट? इसी सिविलाइजेशन का हिस्सा है ये। तो मैंने कहा चलो एक डिफरेंट वॉइस आएगी अगर ऐसा नाम रखूंगा मैं, और दैट विल हेल्प अस टू लाइक एस्टैब्लिश द ट्रूथ।
नो, दैट्स गुड विजय जी। और इसमें मेरा दूसरा प्रश्न है, और हमारे पास समय की थोड़ी सी समय देख के हमें चलना है, बट मैं इस पे थोड़ा सा आपका एक्सटेंशन चाहूंगा इस क्वेश्चन पे। आपने कहा ये संगठन भारत में है, तो जो भारत में संगठन है वो एक सेपरेट संगठन है आई गेस। वहां से चूंकि जैन समुदाय की उत्पत्ति भारत में हुई है, तो वहां से प्रेरणा होना स्वाभाविक है। बट जहां तक मुझे समझ में आ रहा है, आपने उसी थ्योरी को, उसी कॉन्सेप्ट को
Yep.
लेके, या जो ट्रुथ और नॉन वायलेंस की थ्योरी है उसको लेकर आप आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। और
Yes.
कनाडा में जो कि आज थोड़ी सी गलत डायरेक्शन में शायद जा रहा है, जहां पे वायलेंस ज्यादा देखने को मिल रहा है स्ट्रीट्स पे कंपेयर टू नॉन वायलेंस, सो उस चीज को आप यहाँ पे प्रमोट करना चाहते हैं वहां से प्रेरणा लेके। परंतु इसका कोई वहां से आप ऐसा कहेंगे कि यहाँ से कुछ ऐसा ऑपरेशन है इंडिया में जो यहाँ हो रहा है, इस तरह का कुछ है, या एक ये अपनी सिंगल एंटिटी है यहाँ पे? जो नाम सिमिलर हो सकते हैं, कई सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, देयर इज अ टॉम हु लिव्स इन इंडिया, देयर इज अ टॉम हु लिव्स इन कनाडा, दैट इज फाइन, बट the inspiration does matter, right? So the inspiration is same, but these are two separate entities. I just want to make sure that it's clarified, people don't misunderstand about these two things.
वेरी नो, बहुत सही बताया आपने। विश्व जन संगठन कनाडा ये अपने आप में एक सेपरेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, जो कि कनाडा में रजिस्टर की गई है, और इसका अपना मिशन विजन स्टेटमेंट है, इसका अपना चार्टर ऑफ राइट्स सब कुछ है इसमें। इसका हम भारत में कोई संबंध नहीं है ऐसे, अगर ऑन लीगल पर्सपेक्टिव इफ आई वेयर टू टॉक। हाँ, हम जो अब जब जैन हेरिटेज को प्रोटेक्ट करने की बात आती है, हमारी हेरिटेज ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड है, राइट? हमारे तीर्थ स्थान, हमारे आई मीन भारतवर्ष हमारे लिए एक होली लैंड, पूर्ण भारतवर्ष होली लैंड है हमारे लिए, राइट? सो और हमारे यहाँ पे तीर्थ स्थान है जो हमारे लिए सर्वप्रिय है। तो उनकी रक्षा की बात आती है तो हम उसके लिए एडवोकेसी यहाँ से भी करने का प्रयास करते हैं।
जी,
बस वो हमारा संबंध है। बाकी
हाँ,
यहाँ के ऑपरेशन में
वो
हम
आप जैन हेरिटेज को, विजय जी सॉरी टू कट
यस
यू, बट ये इसका ऑब्वियस सी बात है, जो आप जैन हेरिटेज के संरक्षण की बात कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि हमारे जैन धर्म का जो उदय था वो भारत में हुआ, राइट? तो उस हिसाब से जब आपका मोस्टली एडवोकेसी वर्क वहां पे होता है, जो उनके तीर्थंकर के जो तीर्थ हैं उनको सेव करना है, उस पर जो अटैक्स हो रहे हैं, जो एक कम्युनिटी का कई बार कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है, कहीं पे कुछ था, क्योंकि एक बहुत ही वर्सेटाइल लैंड है भारत, राइट? तो उस हिसाब से काम है। प्लस जो जैन धर्म की फिलॉसफी है, नॉन वायलेंस की, अहिंसा की, सत्य की, उसको आप प्रमोट कर रहे हैं कि उस तरह से कार्य होना चाहिए। और कहीं ना कहीं जैसा आपने बताया कि ये जो चीजें हैं ये हमारे भारतवर्ष में, जो कि कहा जाता है सबसे ओल्ड सिविलाइजेशन है, दीज आर रूटेड इन एवरी रिलीजन, राइट? बी सनातन धर्म, हिंदू धर्म, बौद्ध धर्म, जैन धर्म, सिख धर्म, और ऑल ऑफ देम फॉलो द सेम philosophy until they are somewhere distorted in some communities. That's a different story.
या
So no, thank you Vijay ji, thank you for your insights on विश्व जैन संगठन कनाडा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए। तो अभी हम सीधे जंप करेंगे जो आज हमारा कोर विषय है, और वो पिछले 1.5 महीने का जो कोर विषय है, टू बी ऑनेस्ट, नवंबर 3 को जब हिंदू हेरिटेज मंथ मनाया जा रहा था पूरे कनाडा में, उस टाइम पे हमारे मंदिर पे, जो हिंदू सभा मंदिर है कनाडा में, उस पर एक अटैक होता है। और जिस तरह से मैं देखता हूं, मुझे लगता है इट वाज प्रोबेबली प्लान्ड, इन अ वे इट हैपेंड, राइट? And I don't live in Brampton, but I know you live in the close by area. So were you there? How do you see this? Because when I saw those videos, it was really disturbing, to be honest. Because मैं देख रहा था लोग लाठियां लेके, और ये सब सोशल मीडिया पे, ये कोई फैब्रिकेटेड स्टोरीज नहीं है ना कुछ है, सब लाइव फीड्स हैं, एवरीथिंग इज देयर। मैंने देखा कि बच्चों के ऊपर लाठियों से, औरतों के ऊपर लाठियों से एक औरत कर रही है, इस तरह के जेस्चर्स दिए जा रहे हैं जो बहुत ही गंदे जेस्चर्स है, राइट। तो मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ कि आप उस दिन वहां पे थे, आपने क्या देखा, और इस मामले को आप किस तरह से देखते हैं, विश्व जैन संगठन किस तरह से देखता है?
थैंक यू रमेश जी। तो मैं उसमें कुछ बातें और जोड़ता हूँ। 3 नवंबर की घटना है, ये रविवार था, और ये फर्स्ट संडे आफ्टर द दिवाली, राइट। क्योंकि 1 नवंबर को दिवाली मनाई गई थी और मंदिरों में यूजुअली वीकेंड पे फिर बड़े बड़े प्रोग्राम होते हैं। तो 3 नवंबर को हिंदू सभा टेम्पल में और इसी प्रकार सारे मंदिरों में बड़े बड़े प्रोग्राम चल रहे थे। और ये न केवल हिंदू सभा टेम्पल का हुआ ऐसा ही नहीं है, ऐसी ही घटना लक्ष्मी नारायण टेम्पल जो कि सरी वैंकूवर के पास, वहां पर भी ऐसी ही घटना हुई। और ऐसा हुआ था 3 नवंबर को जहां ये घटना हुई ब्रैम्पटन हिंदू सभा टेम्पल में, उस घटना के समय मैं वहां नहीं था, परंतु मैं उससे काफी लिंक्ड हूँ। क्योंकि मैं 3 तारीख को रविवार को मैं मंदिर जा रहा था, जो कि टोरंटो में एक मंदिर है, जैन मंदिर, जहाँ पर मैं सदैव जाता हूँ। So I was on the way. I got a call from some of the community people who were leaving the Hindu Sabha temple that time, and they saw the Khalistani agitators outside the temple, like kind of. And that day there was a lot of crowd in the temple. For 2 reasons. One was that Diwali celebration happening in the temple, and same time there was a consular camps. भारत सरकार के जो दूतावास है वो यहाँ पर वरिष्ठ नागरिकों के लिए लाइफ सर्टिफिकेट देने का एक जो उनके कन्वीनियंस के लिए मंदिरों में आके देने का प्रयास करते हैं, ताकि जो कि वृद्ध लोग हैं उन्हें डाउनटाउन न जाना पड़े, उनकी सुविधा के लिए।
और
और
विजय जी, इसमें जो आप वृद्ध लोग बोल रहे हैं, मैं बीच बीच में थोड़ा सा इंटरप्ट करता रहूंगा फॉर द क्लैरिटी। इसमें जो आप कह रहे हैं वृद्ध लोग आते हैं जिनको पेंशन चाहिए, इंडिया में उनको पेंशन मिल रहा है, so they need the life certificate to showcase that yes, I am alive, keep
yeah,
continuing my pension. So basically
yes,
this is helping, because this is the money which comes to Canada and then we invest back into Canadian economy, right?
correct.
So this is from that perspective. And probably you said, like, Indian council established the camp in there because that is a community hub, right?
Yep,
Where
yep,
people go very frequently for the convenience. Because if you take it to some other location, then you are creating a trouble. A lot of old age people and a lot of families visits these temples on those weekends, right? So that is probably the reason. One more thing clarify with me is, even though it is happening in Hindu temples, but I think all the community members comes. It's not just the Hindus, because when I saw the pictures, there were Sikh community members, there were Muslim community
yep,
members, Jain, Buddhist, you name it, doesn't matter, because India is, as I said, like, there are a lot
yep,
of demography, a lot of culture, a lot of religions, right? So it's not limited to that. But since India is a majoritarian Hindu populated, right? More than 80% people are Hindus. So obviously that covers, and Hindu are open-hearted. So there is no restrictions of anybody coming to the temple. That is why probably it is being hosted. Correct if my understanding is
no,
somewhat.
आपने yes, you said it very correctly. This consular camps arrange in the temple, even not even temple. They arrange in temples. They arrange in gurudwara. They are open to arrange anybody who come forward, and because they want to arrange at a place where that is convenient for the majority of the population who want to take benefit of that particular service.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, imagine. Let's say, because I have done volunteering in these consular camps, and I
Achha.
have seen people coming 85 years old in their wheelchair with those, you can imagine. And when I saw that, the people, like, how do you take these people to all the way to Toronto downtown? Going to the downtown, you can imagine that itself becomes like a big hassle, right?
It's just a
So,
big hassle. Yeah.
and these people who the people who are taking benefit of that particular service, many of them are Canadian citizens. They are not, I mean, like the only Indian citizen, because some point of time they were Indian citizen,
Yeah.
but Indian government give them pension because of whatever, they have done, and yeah, and it's from all communities. I totally agree. In fact, in that day when this particular thing happened in the Hindu Sabha temple, the majority of the people inside temple taking the services, more than 70% were Sikhs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you can imagine, right? I mean, what is
Wow.
happening? See, all
Mm-hmm.
these things, I mean, this extremists creating trouble, whom
Mm.
they are giving trouble to eventually, right? They are giving trouble to even the
Yes.
Sikh senior citizens, right?
Correct.
Majority of them. right? Going back to the incident, so I was on my way to temple in Toronto, and I got a
Hmm.
call from one of the community member, because I have a huge WhatsApp community groups where tens of thousands of people are there, and I post messages so people know me there. So that person called me. He told me, there is some like a Khalistani is outside Hindu Sabha temple, and I thought, okay. I mean, I know about this because we saw during Navratri event also the
Hmm.
Khalistanis, these agitators creating trouble outside temple. I mean, like not trouble, but like I mean, taking vehicles there and
Oh,
blocking. Yeah, they did in Navratri time
ये
also.
नवरात्रि में सेलिब्रेशन में हो रहा था
नवरात्रि के समय
उस
भी हुआ था।
ओ
या
हम्म,
और ये कोई नई बात नहीं है कि मतलब ये इनफैक्ट मैं तो कई वर्ष से देखता आ रहा हूँ कि ये जहाँ
हम्म,
पे हम हमारा कोई इवेंट करते हैं उसके बाहर दो तीन लोग पांच लोग खड़े हो जाते हैं, और ये अपना करते रहते हैं। ठीक
हम्म,
है। जिसने मुझे फोन किया था मैंने उसको कहा भाई कि डोंट गेट इंटिमिडेटेड, मतलब डोंट गेट
हम्म,
इंस्टिगेटेड, कि भाई
हम्म,
वो आपको प्रयास करेंगे आपको इंस्टिगेट करने का। भारत का जो अपना तिरंगा झंडा होता है उसको डिसिक्रेट करने का प्रयास करेंगे ताकि उससे आप इंस्टिगेट हो, राइट।
हम्म,
ये इनका टिपिकल टैक्टिक होती है। तो मैंने उससे कहा कि डोंट गेट इंस्टिगेटेड, और आप
हम्म,
जाइए मंदिर में अपना अपनी पूजा पाठ कीजिए और इनको मत इग्नोर करिए और चलते बनिए, because
हम्म,
it's a very like a normal thing. I would advise to anybody that
हम्म,
don't get instigated because it's part of their plan to instigate
करेक्ट
you and then basically engage you in kind of some violent activity, right? And then claim themselves as a victim and
हम्म,
claim you as a kind of aggressors. And
हम्म,
then they have very good media connections and all that thing. And then they run the whole agenda that, okay, hey, Hindutva people did the problem to our Khalistanis or Sikh people kind of who are doing peaceful protests. It's not
हम्म,
peaceful, but that's how they do it. And media runs their narrative. And
हम्म,
even if we being a victim, being kind of a troubled, right,
हम्म,
we are shown as a kind of like aggressors. So it's like a very typical thing. I have been seeing this like quite some time. So I
हम्म,
advise the person like don't engage in any kind of other thing.
हम्म,
Then this is the first call which I got on that day around 11 ish.
हम्म,
Uh, right after 15 20 minutes, sorry, and meanwhile then I called a couple of people who live close by to the Hindu Sabha temple, and I told them, hey guys, just go see there what is happening. And I mean, like, don't try to create any kind of problem there. I mean, like, or don't let any problem happen there because we know how this thing work. So, and I told few guys who are very active in the community. But meanwhile, very like in 15 20 minutes later, I saw a video coming where these guys are trying to enter the temple and like beating up with the sticks and all that. Immediately, I put a message in the WhatsApp community group, which where there are tens of thousands of people, primarily Brampton based. I told guys, go see there in the temple what's happening, right? But of course, the purpose was not to kind of create any kind of a violence, but just be there so that basically the such thing does not happen. So of course, the message exploded everywhere. People rushed to the temple. People gathered there. But meanwhile, the whatever video you saw, those things had already happened.
So
And
basically, Vijay ji, like you were saying, and just I want to refocus on that, is कि जब उन्होंने अटैक किया तो उसके बाद यही था कि आप ये चेक करना चाहते हैं कि सब लोग सेफ रहें, सुरक्षित रहें, and that is why you engaged, and the other community groups. I think there were a lot of people engaging and just checking on the families. You are doing all right. Just if you are in temple, let's just make sure that कि आप वहां पे कोई अटैक करने के लिए अगर आ रहा है तो आप थोड़ा सा अपने आप को सुरक्षित जगह पे लेके जाएं और
yep,
रहें। बट तब तक जो ये खालिस्तानी फोर्सेज हैं इन्होंने उस पे मंदिर पे अटैक कर दिया था। आई थिंक दे वर इंटिमिडेटिंग द पीपल एंड देन दे केम फॉरवर्ड टू अटैक बिकॉज देयर लॉट ऑफ एंड आई सॉ ऑन सोशल मीडिया कि these pro Khalistani media houses or the people who run the false narrative, they try to kind of twist it, right? They put different videos from different angles, but the funny part was there was not a single video they could find where it appears that the other community or other it happened from the temple side. Always they tried their best. There are like plenty of videos on, you go X, you go Facebook, you go
yep,
Instagram, there are live feeds, but there was not a single video they could identify. And there are different news media outlets who runs the fake propaganda news channel. And I know even some of the sitting government officials, right? And the governments, they tweeted those fake media houses, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
Totally agree.
I get it. I know you are going in a more detailed way, but I want to refocus on this whole thing, how this transpired. This guy started this thing. First, they were, sort of shouting the, slogans, which are like,
Yep.
death to this and, this and that, all sort of, negative comments, right? फिर उन्होंने अचानक से जब उन्होंने देखा कि अच्छा यहाँ बहुत सारे डिवोर्सीज हैं, बहुत को फायदा मिल रहा है, तो दे अटैक्ड इट.
Yep.
Something happened. And
Yep.
the worst part of that attack was, I believe, and I was not there on the scene, but I have seen all that and all the sort of proofs of it, कि जो पील रीजनल पुलिस है उसके लोग भी उसमें इन्वॉल्व थे और वो बंदा सस्पेंड भी हुआ, राइट? So
Yep.
that was the whole crux of it on November 3rd, I believe.
Yep, correct. Very correctly, what you said. So what these agitators, when they were at the outside temple, right? Many people gathered there because it was a Diwali day. You can imagine that, right?
Yes.
And a lot of young crowd, when they see that the India's flag being kind of desecrated, and these guys basically doing all those sloganing. Of course, I mean, not everybody has the same level of the emotional, I would say that handling their emotions, right? Of course, anybody would desecrate India's flag. You and I, we know what we feel inside our heart, right? But then we know, I mean, desecrating any flag is not a crime in Canada. So we deal with those emotions differently, but that is not the case with every single person, right? So what happened? People, like, I mean, there was a kind of a discussion happened with our Hindu devotees, because they told them, like, why you guys are doing here, go, like, elsewhere, those kind of a thing. But these guys basically charge, and then they use those Khalistani, the flag poles, the wooden sticks, and then they started hitting the people
Sticks.
with sticks, right?
फ्लैग में स्टिक था पूरा, उससे लेके उन्होंने मारना
Yeah,
स्टार्ट कर दिया. मैंने देखा.
मारना शुरू कर दिया
हाँ.
था.
और मैंने
और
देखा है
वो
कि उसमें
वो
लेडी थी, एक नहीं
मंदिर
कई
में,
सारी थी, बट जिन्होंने वीडियो बनाया.
हाँ, और वो फिर उन्होंने उसको तो मंदिर में, मतलब मंदिर के प्रांगण में भी वो उन्होंने एंट्री कर दी, और लोगों को, मतलब जैसे कि डंडों से पीटना शुरू किया था. और जब मैंने
करेक्ट.
वो वीडियो देखा,
नॉर्मल.
मेरा पर्पस, द रीजन व्हाई आई पुट अ मैसेज इन द ग्रुप, बिकॉज दैट पर्टिकुलर टेम्पल has a very beautiful and very big, tall Bhagwan Hanumanji's मूर्ति is there in outside. It's in the मंदिर के प्रांगण में ही है. बहुत ऊंची 50 फीट के ऊपर की एक बड़ी अच्छी प्रतिमा है वहां पर. और अब ये जब ऐसा कुछ होता है तो हमें डर लगता है कि कहीं जाके, मतलब वो लोग है ना, उस मूर्ति को कुछ ये ना कर दे, राइट? वी आर लिटिल बिट वरीड अबाउट दैट टू, राइट? तो अगर हमारे लोग वहां जाके, मतलब मंदिर के प्रांगण में खड़े रहे, तो ऐसी प्रकार की घटना होने के चांसेस कम हो जाते हैं. तो वो एक हमारा पर्पस था कि हमने क्यों मैसेज ग्रुप में डाला. तो जब ये लोग, इन्होंने ये
विजय
जो
जी,
खालिस्तान,
इसमें अब मैं दूसरे मुद्दे पे आई थिंक मैं जंप करना चाहूंगा इसके बाद. तो ये जो है, आई थिंक दिस इज नोन टू एवरीबॉडी, एंड देन देयर वाज अ काउंटर प्रोटेस्ट ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, राइट? नॉट, आई वुड से काउंटर, बट इट वाज अ प्रोटेस्ट ऑर्गेनाइज्ड टू मेक फोर्थ का जो काउंटर प्रोटेस्ट था वो ऑर्गेनाइज्ड हुआ. और उसका सिर्फ इतना ही था कि जो कंसर्न कैनेडियंस थे, राइट, और कैनेडियन हिंदूज बेसिकली, जिनका टेम्पल अटैक हुआ था उस पे, तो वो लोग वहां पे पहुंचे. और उसके बाद हुआ, पुलिस दोनों दिन प्रेजेंट थी, राइट? But unki ek very biased, and my focus remains on the police, not on, on the protest and all that, because these are community things. People do what is allowed as per the legal structure of Canada, right? People do that, right? And then this protest happened on that day, and a day before, when temple devotees were attacked, right? And we have to see कि कहाँ से start हुआ.
यप. तो मैं उसको, मतलब थोड़ा क्विकली
The
समरी बता
everything
दूं.
matters who started it, where it started, right? And next
यप.
day event was just resistance to showcase, and it was not just one day thing, because this is happening from last many years, and especially from last 5 years. The rise in this extremist ideology and targeting Hindu Canadians has increased exponentially, right? Exponentially. So there comes a time when people say, I'm not going to take it anymore, because you come attack our temples every second day. You go to the temples, because when they think they are not being given the protection which they want from their elected officials or from the government agencies, be it police or something, right? So people gather to showcase that, yes, we are united. We are not going to take this anymore. Whatever the bullshit you are doing on the roads is not acceptable, be it any Canadian. And again, we are talking about the Hindu Canadians, but at large, this this impacts every Canadian. When you go and jam a
Yes.
street, it's not only you don't choose, oh, this person will go, this person will not go. So basically, their Khalistani ideology or the people, the way they are working, is impacting every Canadian. So that
Totally
fourth
agree.
counter protest happened. We saw what happened on the street. Now I will come straight to the point, because that is the most important point for our
Yep.
today's podcast: the role of the police and government officials in this thing.
Yep.
Because still the community is not very convinced at large when I speak to people that they are being protected, which is their basic civil right in Canada. Everybody needs to feel protected, safe. So I'll come to the police role in this. On third, police did nothing. There are live visuals, there are live photos, there are live streamings. They did nothing to kind of stop that in there. On the fourth, when the incident happened, police was there. In the later in the night, there were a lot of forces, right? And people tried to run the truck over the people who were protesting peacefully in temple, right? And I saw those videos where a car was being run, because I was there on that day. I was just trying to see what's happening, and one ram truck came and they kind of tried to pull it over the crowd which was standing beside the रोड और उसमें जब काउंटर लोगों ने किया तो obviously जब when somebody is trying to hit you, you put a sort of resist it. So some people try to stick the car and all that, and उन्होंने क्या किया, उस एक सीन को उठाया, उसके पहले का नहीं. They did not talk anything why that thing transpired, but they picked that even CBC article which was put a few days back, they had that big picture in there, right? So
And that
that is
car,
all narrative building I'm talking, how they are falsely trying to implicate people, trying to show it in a different way, because there is set ecosystem. So my very important and pointed question to you is about that meeting on 25th November, which you along with the many other organizations, probably which you got together, you had with the police. So what was that meeting all about?
yep,
What made you to think that we should go and talk to the P region police and try to keep it very pointed and focused? What
yep.
did you discuss with the police? That's the first thing, and then we'll talk about the outcomes and how the response was.
No, thank you, Urmesh. That's I think that we should focus on that discussion. What the purpose of the meeting primarily was that the trust in the police was broken, because on the third, on third also the police came there, but then instead of protecting people, the people felt that they were even basically kind of the attacking on, not attacking, but the kind of pushing back on the devotees themselves. That's what people felt. This was kind of a trust in the Peel police was kind of a broken. Um, so we thought, okay, like this is not right thing. And since and on the fourth, the particular car you were talking about, that particular photo in the media, that particular car is in wrong direction. That means it's not on, it's the wrong direction actually. And it's what happened there, our one of the person is arrested there. Even like even here the car basically roll over on his foot, right? And he was just kind of in angry, he was kind of like tapping on the car, and that's what the picture what you see, right? So anyway, now what we felt, the trust in the police is broken, and we thought this is not right thing. This is the country of rule of law. We have to get everybody accountable, and we have to basically raise our concern to the police. So we tried to have a meeting with the police chief. Finally, with few rounds of cancellation, finally we could meet with him on 25th of November. It was a very police had that kind of level of seriousness. So from police side, it was around 10 people. Police chief Nishan and his the entire team, his all deputies, special investigation officers, they all were there. From the community side, I led the delegation with along with me. We had people who were working, some of the people who were working very actively on the ground, helping the victims and all that. So and then some community organizers from outside Peel area, but they also joined that meeting, and we went to the police. Very good meeting, 1.5 hours they could give us a time. The key outcome there, we raised the concern, what we felt the trust is broken, and we have to work towards building that trust back. End of the day, right? I mean, no matter what, I mean, police is a police, right? We have to basically get them to work what they are for, because we as a civilian, we can't do the work what police would do. I mean, I can't basically keep the weapons in my home for my home protection. No, that was the providing public safety work is given to the police. So let them do their work. If they are not, make them do their work. How make them eligible? Make them enable them to do the work. Anyway, so that particular meeting. So one of the thing what we raised was that like other communities had a advisory committee to the chief, but Hindu community as such, there was no advisory committee to chief. So we said, okay, what? Let's establish that
Oh,
ASAP.
that's surprising. So basically, you are saying from each community in Brampton, right, in Peel region, they have an advisory committee from all the religious group or all the different communities, but not from Hindus. There is nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, on their website, they had mentioned that they have a Sikh advisory committee to the chief, Muslim advisory committee to the chief, Black advisory committee to chief, LGBTQ advisory committee to chief. But then, of course, Hindu community being 20% of the Brampton's population, Peel population, did not had it. And we had in the past many
Hmm.
communication with the Peel police about that. So
Hmm.
they acknowledge that with the whatever happening, there is a need to establish that as a Hindu advisory committee. Because I had worked with the Peel police, same meeting, same kind of a meeting, even 2 years back when there were vandalism were happening on the temples, and then the graffitis in the Khalistani referendum, those bad boards with the accusing Hindu names, So I had one meeting in the past couple of years back, and then with that same reference, we had this meeting. And we said, okay, we need that Hindu advisory committee ASAP established, so that we have this constant continued dialogue with you, and we provide you how community is feeling and what we can do together as a community organizers, as a community volunteers, between the police as well as in the community, that we build that trust back. They acknowledged that, they accepted it. Yes, we should establish that, and that was a key takeaway. So after that, we had another meeting to get the committee established. Now I think they will have another. They will set up another meeting sometime in mid-January to get that advisory committee going, and then and that advisory committee will work both way. It's not basically they are going and coming and meeting with the police, but they will check the community pulse. They will give the feedback back to the police. They'll collect the information from police and communicate back to the community, so that we work both way and get the trust. We rebuild the trust. That's one of the key takeaway.
That is one
So
of the key takeaway. And one more thing which comes to my mind, Vijayji. So I think that's a good start, to be honest, right?
yes, yeah,
And we don't yet know the outcome, how police is going to react, because they are, definitely working through a set sort of a structure, right? Where they
yep,
have to, some things they cannot say no. They are obliged as per the law to do that, right?
yep,
But what matters truly, in my opinion, is your intentions, right? What is your intent of doing this, right? क्योंकि जो हमारी बुक में लिखा है, जो पुलिस की डिक्शनरी में लिखा है, जो हमारे लॉज हैं, उनको आप इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते. कनाडा इज अ डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री, so you will assign somebody for sure, because you honestly you could have done, that's a due diligence, right? You have to do it. You
yep,
don't need to wait for this day to come where community comes to you and tells, I need my representation. If somebody or some community, you have it from everybody, and I'm pretty sure that police is having a monthly meeting or quarterly meeting probably to reassess the situation. Oh, this population is growing, and given the contribution of the Hindu Canadians in Brampton, you go to the businesses, you go to the temples, the
yep,
most peace-loving country, people, right? They never confront, they never kind of go beyond what is, in the democratic frame, right? And very obedient in terms of the laws and rules and everything. You discount that community on what basis, right? You don't have a representation. So that is, I think, in my opinion, it's very concerning that we didn't have it. Now let's see when they have it in January, and I would love to do another session with you when we
yep,
hear more updates, because community needs to know what is happening. When we are giving the taxes, we are following all the norms. We need to get the basics,
yep,
which are needed for a community. So on that question, Vijayji, same question I will extend it, because another thing comes to my mind is, जो पुलिस का एक police officer who was involved in this November 3rd attack, and thanks to the social media, because अगर ये सिर्फ मीडिया होता, और तो ये कभी भी जो ट्रूथ है, जो मैं बोलता हूँ ट्रू इनसाइट्स मैटर, इट वुड नेवर कम, बिकॉज वी विल नेवर गेट दैट इनसाइट. सो आई एम वेरी फॉन्ड ऑफ द सोशल मीडिया, क्योंकि हमारे जो सच्चाई वो सामने रहती है, बहुत सारे लोग देखते नहीं है, दे आर हैविंग अ बिजी लाइफ, but people should be in there, they should be watching what is happening. That gives you a true sense. You connect the dots and then see the things. So the police officer who was involved in this incident on November 3rd, he was holding that Khalistani flag, and He was wearing jackets and all, trying to hide his face by wearing the cap, doing all sort of tactics. Did you ask that question to the
Yep.
police officer, the 10 team? How was their reaction? And I'm not sure what is happening to that officer, right? Actually,
Yep.
and there could be many more like that. It is
Yep.
just one got exposed, right? So what
Agreed.
to ask that question, what was their pointed reply to this? Because this is to me, it's very concerning.
Yep. No, very good thing. Yeah. No, we did raise that point, and in fact, we did ask that. Okay, I mean, if the people like this are there in the police, how do we trust them? Because I mean, I come and I complain, I log a report, but then like who should I log a report to? Because the person my enemy is there sitting with you, right? So we did raise that question about the Mr. Constable Harinder Sohi. How so? The Peel Police, the chief acknowledged that, and in fact, he did express that they were kind of very much not happy. They felt very bad about like one of their person on off-duty basis was part of such kind of a thing, and not now, but even from for quite some time. And they took action on him. I mean, of course, they suspended him, and then there is a process going on. I think there is something called Professional Standards Bureau. It's not the police department, but in police department there is another unit which is like neutral, because Peel Police cannot take that case because one of their colleague is kind of being charged like that. So of course, then they will have bias towards their colleague. So they give to the third party, then they go through what is required, all the evidences. They will go through that. There is a police some kind of a act they call act, um, uh, through that, and then professional standards. They go through that all the evidences and they apply
So
whatever.
basically, we are saying, Vijayji, I know the process, but for the our audience purpose, you are saying that they are doing what needs to be done. The
Yes,
police
yes.
is doing what needs to be done, and we
Yep.
will
This
see
is a
more
see
outcomes coming in the
in
future
the yeah.
based on the
Another
inquiry.
Arunesh, see, I mean, these are all unionized jobs. So when all these unionized jobs are there, there is certain process they have to follow. They just can't basically kind of. We ask why don't you terminate this person, right? Or why don't you charge them? Why don't you arrest them? But then they explain that these are unionized job. We can't directly do that because there are certain process they have to follow, and that process are going on. It's not that the only part is that process goes through quite slow. That was the thing they said, and we of course we accepted that. Other thing, I think in the same meeting there are the few key takeaway. What one point what we brought big time was like why police is not applying that criminal code 176, what they are waiting for, because devotees who are going to temple, they are being harassed, right, by this Khalistani protesters, because temple is not a place to do all this thing, right? And they were kind of hindering a devotee going to temple. So criminal code 176 should apply there. They acknowledged that, and they said okay, they will they will review the application of that particular criminal code, and then accordingly in future they might take action. We wanted them to kind of send a proactive communication, but then of course when this will form an advisory committee, after that we will take this matter very very seriously with them. So I mean, of course, there's more to do, because why we have to go through this whole cycle? I mean, I'm going to temple. If somebody is basically hindering my way, there are already criminal code available. It's cop has to do their work. I mean, like so that was our point there. So yeah, that was a key takeaway. We took another action item. We told them the two-tier policing what we saw that day, right? I mean, the people who are victim, they were being arrested, right? And the people who were kind of doing protest there, which were, and they are calling them as a peaceful protester, or in fact they turn violent and beating the people. You are mute.
या विजय जी, मैं ये पीसफुल प्रोटेस्टर्स में एक चीज जोड़ना चाहूंगा कि if this is peaceful, why all the events needs to be cancelled in all region? Because after Peel region, I saw it in the Halton region, then in London, and then in Kitchener. All of them were cancelled, and I saw, and thanks to the I think community awakening, that these Khalistanis who has been constantly targeting Hindu Canadians, they were holding a banner in their Kitchener event saying that we are not against Hindus. So in the coming time, I think this becomes very important, right? Even if you see, first of all, I don't mind you want to protest against some government sitting outside of Canada, none of my business. My only thing is, or community perspective is that we are the people in Canada. For that matter, not only Hindu Canadians, but anybody should not be intimidated. The places of worship should not be targeted, right? You
Yep.
cannot go there. You cannot. It's an intimidation. It's an aggressive kind of confronting. When you are going, people go there, and it's when I say people, these are not the people who are adults, right? There are kids like as old as 5 years. What sort of the memories they are going to carry in their lifetime? That people were shouting outside their bad slogans with the speaker where volume is, and there are decibels set for even that, right? So that law has to be, and kept into the check, and these people has to be kept. If you want to do these things which helps no way to any Canadians and no way it helps Canada, please do it somewhere else. Do not target any community, do not target any places of worship. That should be the intent. So
No,
to your
totally
point,
agree.
when police said all this, Vijayji, sorry, did they give you any sort of confirmation that, because I saw the bubble law as well by so-called Patrick Brown, right? So that guy called got a, he made so much social media fuss about it. He went to the CBC News. He said, "Oh, you know what? I am fixing all this." And when that bylaw came, we all saw what that clause 6B or 5B was, that he gave a very easy pass to the Khalistanis to again protest near the temple. And then we saw what happened, right? So these things, did you ask that question to the police? What about this bylaw, which happened right now? How you're going to protect us? Because you are
Yes.
saying if it's peaceful protest, then there should be nothing
Yeah.
happening. We shouldn't be worried.
Yeah, so no, I agree with what you said. What we did, and we deliberately chose not to talk about that bylaw, because my understanding is still today that this whole bylaw is completely a distraction, because there is already criminal code 176 exists, where a person going to the temple, like he should, if he is blocked from doing his religious work, then there is a criminal code. So if there's already criminal code, then why you need a bylaw? Because I mean, criminal code always supersede over the bylaws. Bylaws are city bylaws, right? So we did not talk about bylaws. Absolutely, what we wanted them to apply the criminal code going forward, because if any time I go to temple and somebody basically block my way, right, or let's say hinder my religious service, then the criminal code applies there. That's what our stand is, and that's what we want police to basically. What they said, we will review the application of that particular criminal code. So I mean, we'll meet with them again. We will go on that route rather than going through the bylaws, because
Okay.
bylaws are cities. Something, let's say, oh, bylaws being violated. Bylaw violated, what's the big deal? You call the city officers and you just give them like a $30 or $50 fine for that. I mean, like, this is
Hmm.
like I mean, let's think over that, right? The
Hmm.
bigger concern
So,
what we raised.
Vijayji, I think, yeah. So, if I have to conclude your meeting with the police and the other
Yeah.
community people, so you are saying the meeting was somewhat, meaningful, right?
Oh yeah,
And we had a good start, right?
yep,
And now, what I think is the key thing to watch in the whole of this episode is to see promises are one thing, because we keep
yep,
hearing the promises that our temples will not be attacked. We see in last 1 year more than 20 plus incident happens in the temple, where the temples were break-in. There were a lot of things happened, right? And now these outside protests, which clearly paints a picture of that one community is being targeted. So promises were made. It's not today, but it's made since a long time, but we don't see any results.
yep,
Now it is time, and it is a very high time for all the community, not only Hindu Canadians, to watch Peel Police very closely how they are doing it, because this impacts every Canadian who lives in this land, pays their taxes. We need to have a peaceful streets. We need to have peaceful prayers. We need to have peaceful communities. That is
no,
what we demand from the Peel Police. And let's see. And I would really, really appreciate whenever you get an update, try to keep it visible to the community, because sometimes the messages are lost over the social media in this, but when people see it live, they understand more. So पील पुलिस के साथ आपका जो भी मीटिंग रहे, उसका जो भी आउटकम रहे, and anything you want the community to do, we are left with 14 minutes, so we'll make it an hour. I started with 30 minutes, but now we are extending it to hour, because it's a sometimes you cannot just, when you have to know the truth, you have to spend time.
Yep.
We all do that, right? Because you just watch one clip, otherwise you become a clip cutter, right? There is a word which is a clip cutter. You cut the clip. I'm using a very professional word, right? So it becomes a clip cutter. You are not a clip cutter, because if you're a clip cutter, you watch a 30 seconds Instagram reel. Oh, this is the truth. No, man, this is not the truth. Truth is something different. You have to really spend time. But no, so Vijay ji, we're coming back to the peel police, that we have to hold them accountable. And I would appreciate if you let me know what actions you want. Maybe you summarize it, nicely,
Yep.
how the community could be involved, and maybe they should drop a note, because police should be reachable to anybody, not only to the organization. How can the community contributes, the Canadians? Again, I'm not saying Hindu Canadians, but any Canadian who is concerned about this sort of extremism going on the roads, how they can be part of it, how they can reach out to the Peel police, because that is the hub and
Yep.
origin of the Khalistani extremism.
No, totally agree what you said. So what we have to and one of the point which we brought up there, and I will say that, and then I'll basically talk about the key action item for the community, what they must do, right? So see, I mean, not everybody goes to temple, right? I mean, if I were to look at that, temples have a good crowd, but I mean, 20-30% of our community goes to the temple, right? So remaining crowd does not even go. Of the crowd which goes to temple, after the November 3rd and November 4th incident, we got a call from many people who are regular visitors to temple. What they are saying, oh, is it safe to visit temple? That was very much, heartbreaking to me, right? So when people are kind of asking that kind of a question, so that's when we thought, okay, like the trust is broken with the police, and we have to build that trust back, because people should visit the temple, and then nobody should feel kind of, unsafe. So that is where the one of the how we started. Now going back to the point, what community can do and what must do, not even can, they must do. The problem with our community is that a lot of self-censoring. We don't report the complaints. I mean,
Okay.
doesn't matter. Our people, I saw that many people basically posted videos on social media. They should do that. Of course, they should amplify the voice. Uh, but more so, the important is that you must complain in your complaint record must happen in the police database. It has to happen. How much action they will take is secondary part. What we are observing that is our many of our people, the videos are circulating on social media, but many of the people did not even log the police complaint. And that is very disturbing actually, right? We see that, oh, more people on our side are getting arrested who are victims, and the people who were kind of protesting there, they are not being arrested, right?
I see.
And why this is happening? Because we are not giving all the, by the way, what police told us, that they go completely by evidences. It's purely evidence. They are very professional, and they go by evidences. Our problem, our community's problem, we are very much self-censoring people. We have to get out of that mindset. We have to go, we have to log a complaint. They have all police already established a special unit called special investigative unit. They have all the support, whatever required from the cross-functional department and all the departments. We have to give them all the videos, all the photos, what we have, and we have to log a complaint. It is important, very, very important. Okay. When they have that information, then they can charge people, and then they can do something about it,
So
right?
Vijay ji, one question. How so you told there is a special investigation unit, right, which is formed. What is the
Yeah.
number? What is the process for raising that request quickly?
I will let me just open that. I think. Uh, I had to search. Let me open that particular.
No,
How
no,
about?
that's fine, Vijay ji. We can definitely get that.
Yeah, I will give you that.
So what we will do. Yeah, so I think if you share those details, we can put that in
Yep.
the video, right? And this is like we can tell the people. So I think the key ask here is for everybody watching this video, whenever you see this happening, not only this kind of the extreme action. So the complaint can be registered even for if you feel that somebody is trying to intimidate. It's not 10 people, it's just one person. If you're entering the temple and somebody is trying, you feel threatened or you feel fearful at that moment, you can still register the complaint. So you don't need to wait for any November 3rd event to happen. It could be at
Three
any
things.
point of time. Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah.
Avijit.
Three things. See, one thing is that what
Thank
happened
you.
on November 3rd and November 4th. So, in fact, we organized one session. We took the police to the special investigation unit to the Hindu Sabha temple on one day, and we asked people to come there and log a complaint. Some people did that. They did log complaint there. Beyond that I'm gonna share the after this call. I will send you. You can put in the description. They can call that special unit and they can go log all their complaints of the November 3rd and November 4th specifically. Beyond that, anytime you see that there is a you have, like, I mean, let's say some Hindu phobic incident is happening, there is a mechanism on the Peel Police. You have to log that hate crime or hate incident, and we're gonna schedule the community education sessions where how they can log those complaints also. That is one of the action items we took as a community to educate our people about getting those non-emergency complaint logged. Somewhere, let's say you saw a poster which was kind of it was a hate incident, then you should log it. You should not basically kind of just brush it and ignore it. This logging complaint is very much necessary. Our community don't log complaints. That is the one of the thing I think our people has to take it away from there. And third part, which I forgot to tell, if let's say on November 3rd you saw the police behavior was not appropriate, let's say they were pushing the devotees rather than taking some action on the protester, I'm going to share the email address and numbers and all that thing, where you can complain their professional standards unit to complain against a specific police officer. That also you can do that, right? So 3 levels. One is that what happened on November 3rd, November 4th, special investigation unit, give all the videos, give all the evidences. Number 2, any hate incident not on November 3rd and 4th, in general, everything you should log with the police. Number 3, and we're going to have community sessions for that too. And number 3, if a police behavior itself on November 3rd, November 4th, or otherwise you saw that was not appropriate, they were working with some bias, that also has
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot
yes,
of such videos. I know only one person has been charged, but there were a lot of videos where they went and tried to attack. And then I saw the Peel Police, video as well, where they had body cam and tried to
yeah,
show that it was not his fault. But again, it's not very convincing. That could be another view, because one person holding a stick becomes a threat for you, another person holding the swords and everything is not a threat for you, right? So that shows the double standard. If I make a complaint against the person who is suggesting me that, right? So basically what you are saying is that if any behavioral things we see even coming from the police officer, we need to get the badge number of that person. We politely need to ask, what is your name, what is your badge number? Just call that unit, log the complaint. Anything you see, in a nutshell, wrong happening which is bothering you, right, it does not matter. And not only the people who are going there, but I think largely and I would again refocus on all Canadians, right? Because this is
yep,
an issue for everybody. We all came here with a purpose, right? To abide with the law which is in Canada, to abide with what helps Canada. If something is not helping Canada, that's none of our business, right? I come from India. I saw that Khalistani is now trying to implicate, oh, you are pro India. Yes, I come from India and I, love India. Even Khalistanis are now crying, like, we are not getting the visa. Recently, I saw an interview with CBC News media outlet did, right? So if you hate so much, why? Because we have our family ties there. We will go. It doesn't make us pro India by holding a flag, just like everybody has a right to do that, right? But if you try to push a community by falsely implicating them with some sort of narrative which you want to build, and obviously I think they are failing massively, right? Because every time they come up with this kind of the propaganda narrative, they have to kind of retract it, they have to go back it, right? So they are failing, and kudos to the effort of the community and people like you and many other people I know who are working on this to keep Canada safe and to make
yep.
sure that true insights matter, that we make sure, because we have to become the voice. We are not
Yep.
getting any platform now. Recently I saw CBC News publishing, I don't have time to go through that, but I quickly want to let the audience know, and we will cover some time for
So
that as well, that how the
CBC,
media outlets, especially the CBC News, is targeting. They are writing one article, and I know all three. I have done all my investigative journalism kind of for all three people, where who did that reporting. If you go and try to find, and this is the homework I'm giving to all people listening this, you don't rely on me or Vijay or any other person to do that. Just search their Twitter accounts, just search their Facebook account, and you will see they are more pro hatred driven than anyone else on this planet. Anyone
they
can
are
solve it.
they are
Lastly, question Vijayji, and this is again because I'm focusing too much on the Peel Region Police today. So my question is this: this all happened on 25th November. You said the meeting was very fruitful, very progressive, very kind of result oriented, and more to come. You've been kind to the Peel Region Police, but I am not probably because I saw recently, just I think couple of days back, they released a list, and I think I pretty much got an answer from you as well during this podcast where I learned a few things. You mentioned that when I saw that post, persons of interest for November 3rd, even they're still on that, and there were total 11 pictures came in. Out of those 11, by the looks, I don't know the details, okay, and don't I'm not quoting what the name of those persons is, but it's about the optics, right? The optics, there were 10 people where they clicked the picture in front of the Hindu temple, and those were looking the faces of, like, a lot of Canadians feel that every brown person is in a South Asian, but South Asia is a very diverse. There are different thought process, different sort of culture, different sort of the ideology which exists in South Asia. It's not just one common umbrella where you can group everybody together, right? So when I saw that list, Vijayji, again, the intent of Peel Region Police was not looking very fair to me as a person who is not part of the system, because out of that only one person who was holding the Khalistani flag was there. None of the pictures were there where they were attacking their door. And I may be looking at from a different perspective, but what is your opinion on that, especially given that you had a closed meeting with Peel Police? How do you see that?
Yep. No, thank you, Anuj. That's a very good point. Two things I will quickly add there. So after that, whatever happened November 3rd, 4th, and people got arrested and all that. So some of our volunteering friends, who are very actively working, we formed and some community people who work in legal profession, they came forward, and they are now. We collected some fund for to do all this fighting all this legally. And in that group, what we saw that, and some of those people were with us when we met with the police. So after all these meetings, and when we saw that this kind of a message came where police is publishing pictures of that majority of them people who are like this, we did not feel right, and we called the officer, one of the officer, and we said we want to talk to you. We met with the person, and we explained that this kind of this way of stigmatizing people is not right. Whether the person has done something or not, of course, it's up to the investigation to find out and go through the due legal process. However, when you put picture like this, you are stigmatizing a person, and then he may not get job. His life will be ruined if you do like that. So we asked them, we met you as a community organizers. So going forward, if you need any people specifically for November 3rd and 4th incident, reach out to us. First, we will find
So,
out.
Vijay, I get your point, right? You registered a sort of a thing that they should not publish. But my question is slightly different, I believe, right? My question is this: I see the biasness. I am not against publishing and naming and shaming people. If somebody is doing wrong, do it. I
They
don't
acknowledge
care,
it.
because if you do a wrong act, it doesn't matter who you are. You should never get a job. That is
That
the rule of law we need to follow. I am least sympathetical to any person who is not following the law. It could be coming from any community. But my core concern is you cannot publish a bias list, because by that thing, what police, Peel Region Police, the way they publish this whole list, I could say there should be this constable Harinder, show his picture in there because he was part of that. Then there were 4 or 5 pictures readily available on the social media where people were attacking with sticks, right? Where are
Yep.
those photos, right? They were being threatened. The guy who tried to run the whole big vehicle on the people to kill them, right, on that day, where are those? I believe what I got from you is that maybe our community didn't register those sort of the complaints. That could be one reason, right? That could be one reason that we didn't register the proper complaints, and that's why police is to give the benefit of doubt to the Peel Region Police. But I have not a single reason to do that, to give them benefit of doubt, because I believe that they are driven by some sort of insiders, sometimes or the closed information where they want to live on a la land.
No, so they did acknowledge that particular tweet where they published a list of person of interest was not in good taste. They should not have done that. They acknowledged it. So let me put this way, and then what we told
Where
them,
is that note, Vijayji? See, one
it's,
thing which I know,
that
if
was
you are
not,
saying they acknowledged it, did they kind of
no,
clarify that tweet,
no,
or it just in
it was,
person? So you go public, you say something else, in person, you say something
yeah.
else.
I acknowledge what you just said. So this is not a like a meeting with the chief. This was a meeting with the officer, because now we established a connection. When we said, okay, in future, if you want to know related to third and fourth incident, what happened, or if you want to, let's say, talk to some people, I mean, give us a give us a call. We will basically find people for you, and we will give the list. We will get the people to you coming to the police station, go through the proper legal process, but don't put like in the publicly like that where you are stigmatizing people. So they acknowledged it, and they said, yeah, going forward, that's how they're gonna do it. Now your point, why the number, like number were so screwed up, where more people from our side and less people on their side, that goes back to the point where our people did not submitted all the evidences, our people did not log all the complaints, right? So more we do that, more evidences we give, the chances, I mean, of course, then the in that list you will see less on us and more on them. And by the way, our people, or when I say our people, the people who were kind of just devotee in the temple standing there and who got kind of arrested, right? um, None of them right now is in jail. All are, I mean, they all got out on bail. We are working very closely with them. We are providing all the support required, because and we are following all the proper legal process. It's not that we are hiding anybody, because this country is the rule of law, and we are going by that. That's what I think I can say. So we have to trust the police, and we have to kind of enable them, and we have to do our part to log all the complaints.
No, Vijayji, so I think that that's a fairly commendable work what you and other people are doing, and I know there are a lot of people involved. So
Yep.
it's just not sometimes you see two faces or three faces on the social media, but largely there are a lot of people who support and make sure that these things keep sort of. When I say these things, my reference is that everybody gets justice and
Yep.
everybody gets truth, everybody gets a fair trial, and when people are targeted, right? So we are up against to the extremism which is spreading in Canada. We are trying to kind of make sure that every Canadian, every peace loving Canadian is aware about what is happening in the society.
Yep.
And Vijay ji, thank you for joining on behalf of the Visajan Singleton Canada. I really, really highly commend the work you are doing for the society. It takes a lot. We all are in that age group where we have to feed our family and be with our friends, and especially during holidays time when the weather is nice, we want to go somewhere. Still, you took the time to come here and talk with the people, right? So, and this is again, guys, when we are saying it's an hour long, you may not watch all of it. I would say even fast forward it. I do that, right? But at least listen, whichever part you like, focus on that, right? Listen, what we can do, how can we make Canada a better place in 2025? And my appeal to everybody, we are not here against anybody. What we are trying to put, if you have a point of view, different point of view, come. I'm happy to talk. We will talk and we will try to, because I know a lot of my friends who are sick, right? We are doing the Veer Bal Divas celebration, by the way, right? When I say we, I got multiple invite for those events, right? So there are good people, there are bad people in every segment or every sector, right? Somewhere there are more bad people, less good people. Somewhere there are more good people and less bad people, right? So we have to keep a very balanced approach, keep these people in check. And again, thank you, Vijayji, for being here. Keep subscribing and keep liking and keep sharing the contents. Our idea is that truth and true insights reaches to every household. We know what we are, what the truth is, what the news is. So thank you, listeners, and thank you for joining in, Vijayji. Happy holidays to everybody. Celebrate Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Namaste. Ram Ram.